Naveed, good morning to you. Fantastic to have you with us. How are you?
Wonderful to be here. Thank you very much for inviting us and looking forward to sharing some thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I'm looking forward to it as well. I don't think I've ever interviewed or spoken with a chief purpose and vision officer precisely before. So this is a first for me. What is that role encompass? And I'm sure you're going to come onto it in the presentation, but maybe a snapshot introduction for the folks here.
Yeah, so my passion is to enable organizations to pursue their purpose. And in that process, while the organizations redefine themselves, that vision is translated to reality with the teams. And with that shared purpose, we can really unlock the true potential of people. So there's a framework, and I help them go through this overall purpose transformation right at the top C-suite level down to the delivery teams as well.
Love that. Love that. Well, look, I know that we've got a lot to cram in as part of this last session because you do have a presentation to deliver as part of that. One that I'm told is particularly visual, so I'm looking forward to it, as I'm sure the audience are too. And to you, audience members, look, it's the final content session of the morning. Your last chance to get up here and ask questions of our speakers or of Naveed. If you'd like to do that and join me here, please do, and we will hopefully have time to get you in before we close. But Naveed, presentation is ready and waiting for you to talk to us all about purpose-powered profitability. Over to you.
Thank you. Okay, let's check my clicker. Clicker is disabled. Can somebody enable that for me to navigate? Okay, thank you. So, question to you, all of you amazing leaders. Do you jump off your bed? Let me bring that to context. Did you jump off your bed today, this morning? And I want you to reflect on what I've just mentioned. If you do, or if you did, there is a deep motivation and passion that you carry. And that is what generally drives us to live a life that is fulfilling and to bring about a positive change and contribute to this world. Let's explore what that actually means in reality. Do your mornings look like this? I'll give you a few seconds to reflect. Did this morning feel anything like things that are shown on the screen? Does anybody else need to pull you off your bed rather than you jumping off it? The core concept of intrinsic motivation is driven by the heart and the mind and its balance. One of the key things that highly engaged, highly energized, purpose-driven people do is to activate more connections in their minds that relate to their true being, their true passion. And the image that you see on the screen, on the left, there is a person who is not as motivated as the one on the right. What's the difference? How can a disengaged person have less connections in their minds, less activation in their minds, and be less productive than a one otherwise? How can you enable this in your organization, starting from your own self, not with others, but with yourself first? In the last few centuries, we've been through some key revolutions. There was a golden era, dark ages, production era, productivity revolution, and now this new revolution that has already taken over the world. We are exiting the productivity revolution and entering into another one, what we are here to discuss. So what was happening? All these years, over the last few centuries, various key events have brought us to this place of amazing technological advances and maturity in the overall financial systems and all sorts of things that we have produced, artificial intelligence and blockchain and everything else. It is because we are standing on the shoulders of the giants. Some of those giants are known and some we intentionally ignore. For example, these 1000 years in the history from year 600 to 1600 are like a mystery. They're marked as dark ages. But was the world really in dark ages then? Or is there something missing in our history lessons? I'll leave you with that question to explore yourself. In the production revolution, Henry Ford, when he introduced the moving assembly line, he brought about a huge positive change to the world. He took away something from people and gave a lot more production capability to them. So what they could produce in their limited time and space now could be done in a much shorter time and at a much higher capacity and volume. With that higher productivity with their higher production capability came the impact to the society, where people had higher buying power. He actually doubled the wages. People used to earn $2.50 an hour, and he doubled that. That was a huge change to the society. People had disposable cash. And the same people who had disposable cash now were buying these cars back. So it was a model that worked really well and served Ford amazingly well. So the change that this production revolution brought to this world had impacts on food, health, energy, arms, media, finance, transport, and many other aspects of this globe and our lives and the civilization as a whole. With that, we entered the next revolution, which was the productivity revolution. Now we are entering this thing where we have higher agility, leanness, we have these Six Sigma approaches, all sorts of things, Kanbans. Those are the things that have optimized the productivity of people and the processes. According to my understanding, we are exiting this revolution as well. Why? Because we are almost touching the limits of productivity revolution. We have been through the production revolution. We are exiting the productivity revolution. And because we are reaching the limits of people's productivity, people are burning out. People are trying to find a reason to work hard or to stretch their limits. Unless you have a very positive, reassuring, and motivating purpose at hand, you cannot function at higher productivity for long. Imagine you're asking Usain Bolt, who's the fastest sprinter in the world, to do a marathon or do a long run in that same pace. He cannot. If he runs a marathon at that pace, he probably will be struggling to continue after a few hundred meters more. Why? Because you have stretched the limits. Sprinting has its own overhead. So the motivation that we have for our teams needs to be well understood on how we can push them and what levels can we achieve with this. Next slide, please. Okay. In the current productivity revolution, we have this agile mindset from talking to doing to being agile. And as we go through these maturity in the agile mindset approaches, as we are trying to be agile, again, we are trying to test our limits of productivity. With all this change, the production revolution and the and the productivity revolution, we must have brought some positive change to this world, right? No, wrong. Guess how many people fall below the poverty line globally every year? People falling below the poverty line every year. In context, every third person in Europe fell below the poverty line last year. More than 100 million people fall below the poverty line every year, according to the World Bank. So, with all this production and productivity, are we really adding value to this globe? What good is the food industry that is causing hunger? What good is the health industry that is thriving on developing chronic diseases? What good is the energy industry that is producing pollution? What good is the media industry that is spreading misinformation? What good is the arms industry that's manufacturing war? What good is the finance industry that is producing poverty and recessions? What good is the transport industry that is causing pollution? And the list goes on. There is something fundamentally wrong with what we're doing. And this could be why most of the people are not jumping off their beds. The great resignation, where tens of millions of people let go of their jobs. They left their jobs voluntarily, even without having a job to go to switch to. Why? Because of this, their lack of intrinsic motivation, their lack of fulfillment in their current roles. The current dilemma of quiet quitting, where people are coasting in their jobs. In quiet quitting, for those who are not familiar, people are there on their job and just doing enough that they can't be fired. Hence, companies are recognizing this behavior, and tens of thousands of people are being let go in all these large organizations because of quiet quitting. So the challenge is real. And people have been making profit at any cost over the last few years. We have been focusing on more, bigger, faster, cheaper now at any cost. But somebody has to pay that cost. Unfortunately, human motivation has been the victim of this. It's the same Henry Ford who developed and gave us this great production revolution said at that time, a business that makes nothing but money is a poor business. Is your business a poor business? Are you in a business that's a poor business? Are you just making money and nothing else? You need to rethink, because the end is near. What used to work in the past will not work anymore in the near future. Because with this new revolution, people are waking up. And I'll give you this context. Most of you will be familiar with this concept of fair trade. You would go to a big supermarket and you would see hundreds of thousands of products on those large supermarket shelves. And you do see the fair trade labels or a section of those labels. If you try to count, and it's the assignment to you and your family, you go to your big supermarket and you find the fair trade products. I can guess it would be around 10% or less of the whole product list in a superstore. If that is the case, if 10% of the products are fair trade, which by the way are mean that we are trying to pass on the benefit to the producer, to the farmer, and we don't just want these resellers and the middlemen to make all the money. We are trying to make the trade fair. If only 10% or less of those products on a large superstore are fair trade, what are the 90% of the products? Unfair trade? That means effectively, by every purchase we make on a daily basis, we are exploiting somebody somewhere and we think it will not have implications. No, there will be an implication, and there's already an implication, and it is going to have its repercussions. And we are all feeling that right now. And the effects are going to be stronger. In a purpose revolution, people are aiming for and demanding fair trade at any cost. And it's a fundamental shift to the society and to the whole globe. Because now the food industry is going to aim to make people healthier. The health industry is going to make you fitter. Energy industry is going cleaner, net zero and many others. Media industry is making people wiser. Arms industry is going to make the world safer. And finance smarter, and transport cleaner, and many more. The list goes on. The purpose revolution is already there and we are in it. So what is your purpose? Why do you do what you do on a daily basis at work? Imagine the difference. So you walk up to a person who is laying bricks. You ask them, what are you doing, sir? Oh, I'm laying bricks. Is that motivating? I'm just doing my job. Go to another person. What are you doing, sir? Same bricklaying. And this person responds, I'm making a wall. Is it motivating? Okay, not that much. Going to the third one. Sir, what are you doing? Laying bricks, but right now I'm making a room. Okay, that's quite motivating, right? No, not that much. You go to the last one, the one who's smiling and energized and passionate, and you say, okay, what are you doing, sir? I am making a hospital that will save people's lives, and it is a free hospital for anybody who can't afford it. The same laying of those bricks, same job being done by four different people, can have a completely different motivation level. The one on the right has the highest level of motivation because it is led by a purpose. The purpose powered profitability that we're aiming for, it's going to make people wiser, fitter, smarter, tougher, closer, making this world cleaner and you healthier. How is it going to do that? It's already happening. These large brands that I've worked with over the last few decades, they've benefited from this at either at the top level where the whole organizations have transformed, or at the team level where we started that revolution within, and very quickly the wider organizations picked it up. Working at AstraZeneca recently, we transformed the overall approach to drug development. And that led us to us producing the vaccines as fast as within a year, which was unheard of. It was an impossible task. With the agility and the purpose-driven approach, we enabled this to happen. Hence, AstraZeneca benefited from it and the rest of the globe. Halma Group, I'm an advisor, digital advisory board member there. This organization is very unique. 40 consecutive years of growth by 5 points or more. Can you imagine? Their purpose is their purpose is to grow a safer, cleaner, healthier future for everyone every day. And that is felt, discussed, experienced, and lived by every day in all these 40 plus companies that are within this group. Having led their leadership retreat recently, you felt that energy of purpose orientation in there. BP, British Petroleum, they've been through this transformation recently. They are going to net zero. And net zero means that same 100-year-old company that was all carbon dependent is now going carbon neutral. Can you imagine the level of change we are talking about here? The whole industry is transforming from oil and gas to integrated energy companies. And the list goes on. So our aim is to help you transform, and we have got a framework that enables you to do this. And I'll finish with this moment of reflection for you. The mornings with a purpose for me feel like.
Fantastic. Naveed, I can tell you, I did not get up out of bed this morning quite like that, but I like to think that you did. Look, I've joined you back here in the main studio. Interesting presentation for sure. I just wanted to loop it all back really to the theme of our summit here, which of course is all about data and analytics and how that is driving organizations forward into the future. How does data analytics relate to purpose then? I think, you were touching on some examples there, but more so, I guess, from a cultural perspective. But can you kind of put data analytics in the picture for us and how, if an organization is seeking to be more purpose-driven, can that in itself be data-driven?
Yes, it has to be data-driven. It's a given. It is actually almost like a prerequisite to such transformation. Because right now we're talking about pursuing a purpose. I'll give you an example of BP. So going from a fully carbon dependent organization to this carbon neutral net zero organization, the transformation cannot happen on its own. It is all data analytics driven. You need to make sure you measure what you are producing as a net zero outcome. How can you achieve net zero without really having analytics in place in every aspect of the business? You go operational, you go extraction, upstream, downstream, everywhere. And without analytics, it's impossible. So it is an integral part of this cultural change where analytics are to be utilized in this transformation at all levels to enable this and to enhance this and to go further and make it sustainable.
Yeah. Absolutely. And look, one final question from me. We talked a little bit about tools that can help equip organizations with their sort of cultural transformations. Can you recommend anything to the audience by way of, our closing comment here, leaving us with some final thoughts and recommendations?
Yes. One of the most powerful levers that I have is this agile emotional intelligence cultural maturity assessment. And that quantifies things like a very fluffy thing like a culture into a very tangible baseline and helps you measure that, measure your progress, use the analytics on it, and to enable the overall organization and its mindset towards purpose orientation, hence motivating the people and unlocking their true potential.
Perfect. Well, look, Naveed, let me leave you with a comment that we had some lovely feedback from David Hopkins. So he very much loved the presentation, loved the videos in particular, and I said we were excited about the visuals. So thank you very much. That's all we have time for, but I hope you enjoyed the session as much as our audience did. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Loved being here.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Naveed.